Hi, welcome to FileDemo tutorials. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to create, launch and debug an integration flow using the file reader and file writer microservices. By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to create a flow to read files from a source and write them into a target directory. There are two prerequisites for this tutorial. First one is that the ESB server should be running. As discussed in the introduction video, it can be started by executing fileDemo.bat file in the installer bin directory. Second one is that an evaluation license file has to be placed in the licenses folder. This gives you full access to all the microservices in the platform. We send you a license file to your email ID when you register for a download. Place this file in the FileDemo Home Licenses folder. In the FileDemo eStudio, log on to the ESB server by right-clicking the Enterprise Server node. This connects to the server and brings all the flows and services into eStudio. Integration flows are on the left. On the right, the microservices palette shows the microservices for integration with various systems. Now, let's create a new flow. Name it FileDemo. Drag and drop the file reader microservice and start configuring it by double-clicking the icon, which brings up the configuration property sheet window. Each and every microservice has this configuration wizard where we can fill in the properties. Provide the file reader configuration by clicking this button. It will launch a new dialog where we can provide the file details. I'll provide my source directory and error directory paths. Working directory is not mandatory, so we can uncheck the Use Working Directory option. As I want to read all the text files, I use the .txt pattern as the file name. Click OK. Next, I need to configure the post-processing action. I want to delete the file after reading it, and so I set it to delete. Each and every microservice has a lot of advanced configuration options. We just go through the basics in these tutorials. Click Next to move to the Scheduler Configurations page. This is to run the microservice in a scheduler mode. By default, the scheduler is enabled for file reader microservice, and the microservice checks the source directory. I use the default scheduler interval of 10 seconds. File reader configuration is now complete. Click Finish. The small circle on the right side of the microservice is an output port where the file content is sent along with the other details of the file. Now I want to send this content to a file writer microservice and write it in a different location. Drag drop the file writer microservice. Connect these two microservices by dragging from the file reader output port to the file writer input port. The root thus created is a JMS client which transfers JMS messages between the microservices at runtime. Let's configure the file writer microservice by double-clicking the icon. Click the file writer configuration button. A new dialog is opened where we can provide the target file details. Enter the target directory path, the working directory path, and the error directory path. Leave the file name property as blank for now. I'll come back to this while debugging the flow. Click OK. Enable the property named Use File Details from Message Header, which instructs the file writer to look for the file name dynamically in the message header and use it while writing files. File writer configuration is now complete. Click Finish. The flow is configured completely. Now, with the click of two buttons, we can deploy and run this flow. I'm going to click the Check Resource and Connectivity button for this flow. This validates the flow and reports if there are any errors. There are no errors in our flow. Now I'll start the flow by clicking the Run Event Process button. The color of the microservices should turn green, which means that the flow started successfully. Now let's test the flow. I have the source directory open here. Let's paste a text file in the source directory. Within a few seconds, you can find a file with the same name and content in the target directory. Now let's work on debugging this flow to see what's happening here. Breakpoints can be added on the routes in order to debug the flow. Right-click the route and select the Add Breakpoint option. You can see the route color changing to red. Let's put one more file in the source directory. It disappears and you can see a message intercepted on the route. The route blinks and it displays the number of messages that are intercepted to give you a visual indication. I'll right-click the route and select the View Fiorano Debugger option. This opens a view where we can inspect the messages. This is a JMS message. You can view the message body as well as properties, JMS headers, and other details. This is the content of my file. And if you look at the properties, you can see a file name property. FileReader automatically sets this property for each file it reads. Since we enable the Use File Name from Header option in FileWriter, it will use this property and the file names are retained. Click the Send button in the Fiorano debugger to forward the message, and now you can see the file in the target directory. If you want to stop the flow, you can click Stop Event Process button. The label color of the microservices changes to black. So this is how we create, run and debug integration flows in Fiorano. In the next tutorial, we will work on creating a RESTful service integration flow. Thank you for watching this video.